In the dark void of space, the Korath Empire's broadcast reverberated through countless systems, reaching every corner of the galaxy. General Kala stood in the center of the transmission, a figure of immense presence. His 6 muscular arms crossed confidently over his armored chest, each one adorned with glowing sigils of rank and conquest. His voice, deep and resonant, boomed like the thunder of a collapsing star. "Humans," he began, the word dripping with disdain. "Is this the extent of your defiance? One soldier? A single, pathetic emissary to stand against the might of the Korath Empire?" Behind him, a projection displayed the ruins of Earth's major cities, once vibrant centers of human civilization, now reduced to smoldering rubble. Kaloth gestured toward the images, his piercing, reptilian eyes narrowing. "This is your fate," he continued. "A species clinging to life, scattered like ashes in the wind. And now you insult us by sending a solitary warrior? An insect to face a leviathan?" Laughter erupted from the gathered Korath elites flanking him, their guttural chortles echoing through the chamber. They basked in the apparent inevitability of humanity's final humiliation. Kalotha's towering form, adorned in ceremonial battle armor that shimmered like polished obsidian, embodied their confidence. Every movement he made conveyed superiority, every word oozed contempt. But the broadcast didn't end with threats alone. Kaloth leaned forward, his angular face filling the screen, as if to deliver a final message directly to Earth. "You have chosen extinction. We will make an example of your kind, a warning to all others who might dare oppose us. Watch as your so-called champion is erased, live for all to see." The signal cut abruptly, leaving the galaxy buzzing with anticipation. Humanity's collective will was battered but unbroken. Over decades, the Korath had laid waste to Earth's defenses, their ships blotting out the skies. Entire continents lay in ruin, their inhabitants scattered in subterranean shelters or aboard makeshift space stations. Alliances with other species had faltered, the Koratha's sheer dominance left little room for hope. Yet, despite overwhelming odds, the human spirit endured. Amid this chaos, Project Vanguard was born. A classified initiative shrouded in secrecy. It aimed not at matching the Korath in brute force but outthinking them. The strategy was simple: strike at the heart of their arrogance. Captain Alex Rowe, the sole product of this endeavor, emerged as humanity's unlikely savior. His name carried whispers of victories long since forgotten, tales of a soldier who thrived where others fell, a survivor hardened by relentless war. Alex wasn't the strongest or fastest, but he possessed something rarer: the ability to adapt. In the dim glow of Earth's last operational command center, Alex had stood before the Council, silent as their plan was laid out. His face, weathered by years of battle, betrayed no emotion. There was no room for doubt. Humanity had gambled everything on him. "Are you ready for this, Captain?" one of the council members had asked, the weight of the question palpable. Alex's reply had been curt, almost dismissive. "Ready doesn't matter. Winning does." Now, as he approached the Korath mothership, his thoughts were focused, his mind a weapon as sharp as any blade. Every step he took was deliberate, his figure dwarfed by the immense docking bay that swallowed him whole. Behind him, the cold vacuum of space seemed almost inviting compared to the hostile glares of the alien soldiers who escorted him. The Korath guards sneered as they led him through the labyrinthine halls of the mothership, their massive frames towering over him. Alex remained unfazed, his measured pace a stark contrast to their arrogance. He'd seen worse than these posturing warriors. Inside the throne room, the tension was electric. Alex entered alone, his boots echoing against the polished obsidian floor. The vast chamber was both oppressive and grand, its vaulted ceilings adorned with glowing alien glyphs. Around him, Korath nobles watched from elevated platforms, their expressions a mix of amusement and derision. At the center, Kaloth loomed, his imposing frame casting a long shadow. The general's eyes narrowed as he assessed the humans standing before him. Alex was an enigma, a stark contrast to the panicked faces Kaloth had seen during the conquest of Earth. Kalotha's lips curled into a sneer. "So this is humanity's great defender? Tell me, insect, do you understand the futility of your mission? Alex didn't respond immediately. He let the silence hang in the air, his gaze unwavering as he studied the alien general. Finally, he spoke, his voice steady and calm. Enough to know you've already lost more than you realize. The room erupted in laughter, the Korath elites unable to contain their amusement. But Ka-Lotha's expression hardened. This human's defiance was not the reaction he had anticipated. You speak boldly for a creature on the brink of extinction, Ka-Loth snarled. Your end will serve as a reminder to all who oppose us. A mere speck in the vastness of the galaxy, crushed underfoot. Alex stepped forward, his movements deliberate, as if he owned the room despite the overwhelming odds. You see weakness because you're blind to what strength really is. Ka-Lotha's eyes flared with anger, his pride wounded by the human's audacity. He gestured sharply, and the guards at the chamber's edge stiffened. The broadcast had begun, and the galaxy's eyes were now fixed on the throne room. Let them witness, Ka-Loth declared, his voice rising to a crescendo. This is how the Korath deal with defiance. Let them see the futility of resistance. Alex allowed himself a faint smile. The general didn't realize that he was playing right into humanity's hands. The throne room was a cathedral of dominance, a towering testament to the Korath Empire's power. Colossal pillars lined the chamber, etched with glowing alien glyphs that pulsed rhythmically, like the heartbeat of the mothership itself. The air was heavy with tension, carrying the faint hum of energy fields and the murmurs of alien nobles perched on raised platforms. The scent of burning incense mingled with the metallic tang of advanced technology, a blend of ancient tradition and overwhelming force. Alex Rowe entered without hesitation, his solitary figure a stark contrast to the grandeur around him. He was dwarfed by the room's scale, yet his measured stride and unflinching gaze cut through the jeering alien elites. Their laughter echoed, a grating sound of contempt and amusement. The human was an anomaly in this setting, a single point of calm amidst a storm of hostility. Ka-Lotha's voice silenced the crowd, his tone a commanding growl. And here it is. Humanity's final insult, a lone soldier to stand before the might of the Korath. Tell me, human, do you understand the gravity of your insignificance? Alex stood still, his face betraying no emotion. Ka-Loth loomed above him, each of his 6 arms poised with calculated menace. The alien general's golden armor glinted in the ethereal light, each detail a symbol of his countless victories. His eyes, like twin suns burning with contempt, bore down on Alex. You come here to die, little insect, Ka-Loth continued. Your leaders send you as a distraction, a pathetic gesture from a doomed species. How quaint! The elites erupted into laughter again, but Alex's calm demeanor didn't waver. His silence spoke volumes, unsettling the confidence in the room ever so slightly. You talk a lot for someone who's scared, Alex finally said, his voice quiet but cutting through the air like a blade. The laughter stopped. Ka-Lotha's expression twisted into a snarl. Scared? Of you? We are conquerors of worlds, the architects of submission. Your kind is weak, dependent on outdated tools and meaningless defiance. Alex tilted his head slightly, his tone steady and matter-of-fact. Weak, is it? Yet here I am, in your throne room, breathing the same air as you. Maybe weakness isn't what you think it is. Ka-Loth barked a harsh laugh, his deep voice reverberating through the chamber. You mistake your presence here for strength. You are not the hero of this story, human. You're a footnote. A message. That's funny, Alex replied, his eyes narrowing. I was thinking the same about you. The subtle shift in power hung in the air, invisible but tangible. Ka-Loth stepped closer, his immense frame casting Alex in shadow. You cling to hope because you have nothing else. But hope is a lie, a fleeting delusion crushed beneath the weight of reality. Strength is absolute, and the Korath have it in abundance. You have nothing. Alex's lip twitched, almost a smirk. Strength isn't just muscles or fleets. It's about who adapts, who endures, and who outthinks the other. Something you'd understand if you weren't so busy admiring yourself. Ka-Loth roared, his arrogance momentarily cracked by the human's audacity. You dare lecture me, a being who has conquered 100 systems? I dare because you're blind, Alex said, his voice calm but laced with steel. You don't even realize what's happening around you. That's the thing about people like you. You win for so long, you forget what losing feels like. Carlos snarled, raising one of his massive arms in a gesture of command. The guards stationed around the room stepped forward, their weapons humming with lethal energy. Enough words, Carlos growled. Let us show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. But then, with a sharp motion, he waved the guards back. No, he said, his voice now quieter but infinitely more menacing. This one is mine. The guards hesitated, then stepped back, their expressions unreadable behind their helmets. The Korath elites watched with bated breath, their previous amusement giving way to genuine anticipation. This was no longer a performance for the galaxy, it was personal. Alex's eyes flickered around the room, taking in the details, calculating. You sure you want to do that? He asked, his tone almost conversational. Your friends won't like the outcome. Carlotha's laugh was sharp and bitter. The outcome is inevitable, human. You are a gnat in the face of a storm. What could you possibly do to me? Alex's lips curled into the faintest smile, his confidence no longer hidden. I guess we're about to find out. Carloth lunged forward, his massive frame moving with surprising speed. But in that moment, Alex didn't flinch. Instead, he shifted his stance, a subtle but deliberate motion that hinted at something more than mere bravado. The Korath elites leaned forward, their gazes locked on the unfolding confrontation. The galaxy watched, and the stage was set. But in Alex's mind, the fight had already begun long before he stepped into this room. Carlos surged forward, a whirlwind of power and fury, each of his 6 arms a deadly blur. 2 arms swung with brute force, wielding razor-edged plasma blades that ignited the air with sizzling arcs of energy. Another pair unleashed concussive blasts from built-in cannons, sending shockwaves rippling through the throne room. The final 2 arms reached for Alex with the crushing grip of claws meant to tear through starship hulls. The ground trembled beneath Carlotha's charge, his massive frame moving with terrifying speed. Each step sent vibrations through the obsidian floor, cracks forming in his wake. The alien general's roar reverberated through the chamber, a primal sound that silenced even the jeering elites. Alex moved like water, fluid and precise. He sidestepped the plasma blades, the heat from their near-miss scorching the air inches from his face. A cannon blast ripped through a column behind him, shards of glowing debris raining down as Alex rolled beneath another strike. His movements were calculated, his focus unyielding. Carlotha's claws slammed down, but Alex was gone before they landed, his speed a blur that left even the elite guards watching in stunned silence. Every strike from Carloth was raw power, but Alex didn't meet it head-on. Instead, he flowed around it, exploiting the openings left by Carlotha's sheer size and the arrogance in his attacks. You're fast for something so big, Alex said, his tone almost mocking. But speed without precision is just noise. Carloth snarled, redoubling his efforts, but his strikes grew wilder. Alex's confidence was a sharp contrast to the general's mounting frustration. Alex countered with calculated efficiency, his suit activating with a faint hum. Panels along his arms and legs glowed faintly, revealing advanced human technology designed for adaptability rather than raw power. Micro-thrusters on his boots allowed him to pivot mid-step, dodging Carlotha's strikes with surgical precision. His gloves crackled with energy, designed not for brute force but for precision strikes that targeted Carlotha's vulnerabilities. As Carloth swung a plasma blade down, Alex sidestepped and drove his fist into the alien's exposed ribs, the suit amplifying his strike with a burst of kinetic energy. The impact sent a visible ripple through Carlotha's armor, forcing a grunt of pain from the general. Alex didn't let up. He moved in close, inside the range of Carlotha's longer limbs, landing a flurry of blows that targeted joints and weak points in the alien's armor. You think you can win with toys? Carloth bellowed, his voice a mixture of pain and rage. He swung wildly, but Alex slipped beneath the attack, delivering a sharp kick to the back of the alien's knee. Carloth stumbled, momentarily brought to one leg, his balance shaken. For a moment, Alex's mind flashed back to the simulations that had prepared him for this. Countless hours spent studying the Karatha's anatomy, their attack patterns, their weaknesses. His trainers had drilled adaptability into him, pushing him to survive in situations where survival seemed impossible. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a product of humanity's ingenuity. "This isn't about strength," Alex said, his voice calm despite the chaos. "It's about being smart enough to know where to hit." He demonstrated with a precise strike to a joint in Kalatha's upper right arm. The plasma blade faltered, flickering out of existence as the arm spasmed. Alex followed up with a low sweep to unbalance the general further, forcing him back several steps. Kalatha's breathing grew heavier, his attacks slowing. The once unshakable confidence in his eyes now flickered with uncertainty. Enraged by the unexpected resistance, Kalath unleashed his full fury. He roared, his massive frame surging forward again, this time with reckless abandon. The precision of his earlier strikes was gone, replaced by raw, desperate power. His plasma blades carved massive arcs through the air, and his cannons fired indiscriminately, blasting apart the throne room's ornate walls. Alex used the chaos to his advantage. Kalatha's aggression left him open, and Alex capitalized on every mistake. He dodged another wild swing, activating the final phase of his suit's enhancements. A panel on his chest slid open, releasing a swarm of microscopic drones, humanity's secret weapon. The drones moved like a living mist, weaving around Kalatha's arms and legs. They clung to his armor, infiltrating the smallest gaps, and began to emit bursts of electromagnetic pulses. The effects were immediate. Kalatha's armor flickered, its protective shield sputtering. His plasma blades grew dim, the power within them faltering. "What is this?" Kalath roared, swatting at the drones, but they moved too quickly, darting away before his claws could make contact. Alex's smirk deepened. "We figured you'd rely on brute force. Turns out, brute force doesn't work so well against adaptability." Kalath staggered, his massive frame weighed down by the cumulative effects of Alex's strikes and the relentless assault of the drones. The elites in the room, once confident in their general's victory, now watched in stunned silence. The human was winning. The impossible was happening before their eyes. Kalath let out one final roar, a sound that echoed with fury and disbelief. But Alex was already moving, delivering the decisive blow. With a calculated strike to the base of Kalatha's neck, Alex sent the alien general crashing to his knees. The room fell into a heavy silence as Kalatha's towering form slumped, the once invincible warrior brought low by the very insect he had mocked. The galaxy's audience, watching from every corner of space, saw not the humiliation of humanity but its resilience, ingenuity, and the undeniable proof that it was far from weak. Kalatha's body hit the ground with a deafening crash, the alien general kneeling in disbelief. His massive arms trembled as he tried to push himself upright, his golden armor cracked and dimmed. For a moment, his blazing eyes, once full of unshakable confidence, flickered with something new, fear. Alex stood over him, his breathing steady, his posture unyielding. The glowing remnants of his nanotech swarm retracted back into his suit, the faint hum of their energy dissipating into silence. He looked down at Kalath, his face a picture of calm determination. "You cheated," Kalath growled, his voice hoarse and tinged with fury. "This was no fight of honor. You humans and your tricks." Alex's lips curled into a faint smirk. "Honor? You sent an armada to crush a species that barely had the chance to fight back. Don't talk to me about honor." Kalatha's gaze burned with anger, but he couldn't deny the truth in Alex's words. He tried to rise again, but Alex stepped forward, pressing a boot lightly against the alien's shoulder. "Stay down," he said firmly. "The fight's over." Kalath snarled. "You'll regret this, human. Your kind will." "Will what?" Alex interrupted, his tone cutting. "Survive? Adapt? Fight back? You underestimated us because you never understood us. And that's why you've already lost." A soft beep in Alex's ears signaled the activation of his communicator. He tapped a hidden panel on his wrist, and a voice crackled through the channel. It was Earth Command. Captain Rowe, we've confirmed success. Phase 2 is underway. Alex allowed himself a small sigh of relief. Copy that, he replied. Carlotha's eyes narrowed, his expression shifting from anger to suspicion. What are you doing? Alex knelt down, meeting the alien general's gaze directly. You thought this was just about me, didn't you? A single soldier, here to prove something? You thought wrong. As Alex spoke, the throne room's massive viewing screens flickered to life. The image of Earth Command's control room filled the displays, revealing humanity's strategic masterminds overseeing a complex operation. Beyond the Korath mothership, the void of space was alive with movement. A fleet of sleek, stealth-class human ships emerged from the shadows, their arrival undetected by the Koratha's vast sensor network. The screens zoomed in on key targets, massive siege platforms orbiting Earth, weapons poised to obliterate the planet. But before Karloth could react, the human fleet struck. Precision strikes disabled the siege platform's critical systems, one after another. The Korath forces, caught off guard by the stealth fleet, scrambled to respond, but their defense networks were already compromised. Humanity's engineers had found a way to infiltrate the Koratha's systems, turning their own technology against them. Karloth watched in horror as his empire's stranglehold on Earth unraveled in real time. Impossible, he muttered, his voice barely audible. Alex straightened, his gaze never leaving Karloth. This wasn't just a fight, General. It was a distraction. While you were busy trying to make an example of me, my people were outsmarting your entire fleet. Every move you've made was a step into our trap. The viewing screens briefly faded to black, replaced by a recorded transmission. It was a flashback to the mission's planning stage, showing humanity's desperate unity. Scientists, strategists, and soldiers worked tirelessly in underground bunkers, pooling their resources to devise a plan that could outwit the Korath. The camera focused on Alex in one of these meetings. They expect us to fight like they do, he had said. But we're not here to match their strength. We're here to use their arrogance against them. They'll never see it coming. The screen switched again, this time showing Alex standing in the throne room, his figure illuminated against the backdrop of the defeated Karloth. He adjusted his communicator, broadcasting to the galaxy. To every species watching this, hear me. Alex began, his voice calm but resolute. You've seen the Koratha's cruelty, their strength, their arrogance. You've felt what it's like to be crushed under their heel, told that resistance is futile. I'm here to tell you, it's not. The silence in the room was deafening, every alien elite frozen as they watched Alex take command of the moment. The Korath think strength is everything, Alex continued. They think it's about armies, ships, and power. But real strength comes from unity. From standing together when it matters most. That's what humanity has done, and that's why we've survived. The broadcast reached the far corners of the galaxy, where oppressed species watched with growing hope. In colonies ruled by Korath overseers, whispers of rebellion began to spread. Alex's gaze hardened. The Korath are not invincible. They bleed. They fall. And if we stand together, we can make sure they never rise again. Humanity isn't just fighting for itself. We're fighting for everyone who's ever been told they don't matter. He stepped closer to Karloth, his voice dropping to a quiet intensity. Your time is over. The broadcast ended, but its impact echoed far beyond the throne room. Across the galaxy, seeds of defiance were sown, and the first sparks of a united rebellion began to flicker. Alex turned away from Karloth, leaving the defeated general in stunned silence. The mission wasn't just a victory for Earth. It was the beginning of something much larger, a turning point in the galaxy's history. Karlotha's defeat echoed across the galaxy like a thunderclap. The once proud general, a symbol of Korath dominance, now knelt in chains within the ruins of his own throne room. His mighty frame seemed smaller, his spirit crushed. Alex stood nearby, his posture calm but watchful. The guards, now loyal to no one, avoided eye contact as they escorted Karloth away. The news spread rapidly. The Korath elites, who moments ago had mocked humanity, now scrambled to secure their own safety. Many fled the mothership in secret, abandoning their positions of power. They knew retaliation was inevitable, not just from humanity, but from the countless species they had subjugated over centuries. Across the galaxy, the Korath Empire's grip began to falter. The morale of their forces plummeted as the image of Ka-Latha's defeat circulated through every communication channel. For the first time in living memory, the Empire's enemies tasted hope. And humanity was at the center of it all, a species once dismissed as fragile, now standing as a symbol of resistance. The celebrations on Earth were deafening. Crowds gathered in the streets, their cheers filling the skies. But for Alex, the return home wasn't as simple as basking in victory. He stepped off the dropship and was immediately surrounded by jubilant faces, shaking hands, and words of gratitude. Yet in his eyes there was a weight that victory couldn't lift. In the quiet hours, Alex found himself reflecting on the faces he wouldn't see again, those who had sacrificed everything to make this moment possible. His squadmates, his mentors, and the countless civilians caught in the crossfire. Each loss was a thread woven into the fabric of their triumph, and each weighed heavily on him. A flashback struck him as he sat alone, gazing at a memorial wall. He saw the face of Lieutenant Harris, one of his closest comrades. Her laughter during the grueling days of training had been a light in the darkness. Her final act of bravery had saved hundreds, but the cost had been her life. Alex clenched his fists, the memory raw and painful. "We did it," he murmured, as if speaking to the ghosts of the fallen. "But I wish you could be here to see it." The victory was undeniable, yet Alex couldn't shake the nagging thought of what lay ahead. Humanity was no longer an underdog. The galaxy had seen what they were capable of, and that visibility came with its own dangers. Would humanity's defiance lead to a lasting peace, or had they simply painted a target on themselves for the next great war? The galaxy, however, seemed to lean toward hope. Inspired by humanity's triumph, oppressed species across the stars began reaching out. The Malethians, a species known for their scientific brilliance, offered an alliance, eager to share their advanced knowledge. The Gorval, fierce warriors once enslaved by the Korath, pledged their loyalty to humanity, vowing to stand by them in future battles. For the first time, Earth wasn't alone. The seeds of a galactic coalition were being planted, one built not on dominance but on mutual respect and survival. Humanity embraced its new role as a defender of the weak and a beacon of ingenuity. Alex watched these developments from afar, his heart conflicted. He was proud of what they had achieved, but he couldn't ignore the growing responsibilities that came with their newfound power. As the galaxy looked to Earth for leadership, he worried about the cost of holding that position. One night, he found himself on a quiet hill outside the city, gazing up at the stars. The lights of distant worlds sparkled against the void, each one a reminder of how vast the galaxy truly was. Somewhere out there, remnants of the Korath Empire were undoubtedly regrouping, plotting their next move. But for now, there was peace, a fragile, hopeful peace. As the wind rustled through the grass, Alex allowed himself a rare moment of optimism. He thought of the alliances forming, the lives saved, and the possibilities that lay ahead. "This was only the beginning," he whispered, a faint smile touching his lips. The stars seemed to shimmer in response, a vast galaxy waiting to be shaped by what humanity would do next.